Hi everyone, welcome back to MyAngle. My name is Joy Victoria and I am very excited for today's guest. She is an icon in the women's basketball world, the queen of overtime, in the face of overtime women's basketball. Please welcome Overtime Chloe.
Thank you, Joy. Wow, you pumped me up. Iconic and queen.
Yes, iconic.
I like that. I'm gonna have to talk to you more often.
So how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm back home in Cincinnati, Ohio. I haven't been home and I don't even know how long, just because of everything that's obviously going around COVID-19. So I'm so happy to be home because I haven't seen my family in forever.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you're home too. So can you give us a little bit of background on how you found your love for basketball? Because obviously you're very passionate about the game. So where did you find your love for the sport?
Yeah, so I don't remember the full story, but I know my mom always told me that like the moment a ball was in my hand, I was like obsessed with basketball. She always jokes that she thought that I used to love basketball more than her when I was younger. I can tell you what my love was like for the game of basketball. But for me, it really started, I played in the YMCA, I played with boys growing up basically my whole life until one day I switched schools into the city and I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I met a friend and she's on a girls team. Like it's an all girls team. I really want to play. And that's really how I learned. And I was at North Avondale and I was probably around like maybe third grade. So back then it wasn't super common to have all girls teams.
Yeah.
And then like from there, I just like you could not get me out of the gym. I was just obsessed with basketball, like putting in hours and all of that. I could tell you about it forever.
So when did you kind of start taking it like serious, like this is what I want to do for my career, this is what I want to be?
Yeah, I think probably I knew as young as maybe fourth grade. I was like, I want to play basketball in college. I want to play in the WNBA. I was like, I want to be a WNBA superstar, like all that. Obviously, the WNBA part didn't work out, but it made sense, and that was more so on me. But I just knew at a young age that basketball was my passion. I think sports helps people so much, and it's so evident to me when I'm working with someone and if they have never played sports before or if they have, just because of just the basic life lessons that you learn. And when I say sports, I even mean like dance, cheer, everything, because all of that does, even though there may be individual events, it revolves around a team.
Definitely.
And so for me, the dream was always there. Like I was always going to do something with basketball no matter what.
So who were some people, like some role models that you looked up to as a kid?
Yeah. So when I was young, I loved Candace Parker. That was my girl. She played at Tennessee. Yeah, legend. Now plays for the Sparks. I loved her. I loved Diana Taurasi, Skylar Diggins. I wanted to be Skylar Diggins. I think a lot of people might wanted to be Skylar Diggins. So I'd say those three. And then I also really like soccer. So it was like Mia Hamm. Yeah, way back. It was like Mia Hamm. Yeah, I think those were, as far as like women go, that's who I really looked up to. On the guys' side, it was Kobe Bryant.
Kobe
was my all-time favorite player. I wanted to be like Kobe. I wanted to do everything that Kobe did.
Yeah, I'm sure like everybody did, really. So what position do you play?
So when I played point guard. For the most part, I played point guard my whole life, except I think there was maybe a couple seasons where I was like a post player, but that was back then when I was taller than everyone else. But I stopped growing after, I think it was fifth grade. I've been 5'8" forever. So, but even as a point guard, I was doing the jump balls, which is extremely characteristic. But yeah, it's always been point guard for me because I think, one, everyone says I just have like natural leadership or natural leading capabilities, as well as, I like to communicate and just make sure everyone's on the same page. Like for me playing, it was never really about me. It was about other people. Like I always wanted to get other people involved. I wanted everyone to feel good. I wanted everyone to gel. And because that's what made me happy and made me hype. And that's why I love basketball, because it's just really cool when you can bring together a bunch of different types of people and just get them all on the same page. People who you would never be cool with or like to hang out with, and they be teammates, and then all of a sudden that's like a best friend or a sister for life.
Yeah. So what's your go-to move, like that you always would go to?
Ooh, my go-to move, I would probably say was like an in and out crossover. Just right into the jump shot, because you get someone rocking one way, pull it back the other.
Yeah, catch some ankles.
Yeah, a little bit, a few. That's
So I feel like some people are like defensive players and some people are offensive, or some are both. So which way would you say that you lean toward?
Definitely defense. I was all about defense, always guarding the best player on the other team. And I just took a lot of pride in being able to shut that best player down or hold them lower to their average. And I think like people who really focus in and lock in on defense, it's selfless, because to me it's like, you can outscore someone, but it's like a statement when your team scores 90 points and the other team like scores 40,
I feel like defensive players don't get the credit they deserve because everyone's so focused on the scores, like when the defensive players do a lot of work too.
Right. Yeah, we glorify offense because that's what people want to see.
Yeah.
Candace Parker getting shut down and scoring 5 points. They want to see her score 40 points.
Yeah. So you got a scholarship to college, correct?
Yes.
So what college did you attend?
So I went to the University of Maryland. That's where I played basketball at. And that was always my dream school. I think that's been my dream school since about 5th grade. When they first won the national championship, I think in 2006. So it was Maryland for me. And then after Maryland, I got an opportunity to work for the UConn women's basketball coaching staff under Gino Auriemma and associate head coach Chris Daly, who are two of the greatest coaches in the game. And, UConn has 11 national championships. So got the chance to learn from them. And, now I'm here. So my teammates always call me a traitor for a little bit. Going on. But they understood and it worked out. And I'm beyond thankful for my time at UConn because, they pushed me to a level that was just different than anything I had ever really experienced. And I'm just super grateful for them still today.
Yeah. So what was your whole college experience like, sports-wise, socially, everything? How was it for you?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun in college. I think I tell this story a lot. My freshman year, I was extremely focused on basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So, I always say in college, you can only be great at 2 things. So it's either your sport and academics, and the third one would be social. So you have to choose 2 of those 3, right? So each year for me, it varied, but when I was choosing 2, I definitely saw the decline in that third one. But I would say overall, I wouldn't trade my college experience for the world because, I didn't just stick with my team. I met so many different other people. And even in my major, 2 of my best friends right now, I'm still super close with, and they're like my sisters. I used to like to have gatherings, parties, which was a lot of fun, because, with athletes, you don't get a lot of time to do things.
Yeah.
So you can, college really is one of the best times of your life. And there's nothing like it. And I'd say, on the basketball court, one thing I definitely noticed is when I was paying attention, obviously focusing more on school and social, my performance definitely dipped.
Yeah.
So like I said, there is that balance, and everyone who I talk to, I always tell them, choose the 2 things that you want to be great at, but just know that third thing is is going to suffer. But that's the type of sacrifice that I think you have to make. And you
Yeah.
understand that you're making when you do want to play sports at a high level.
Yeah, that's really good advice. You really do have to choose like two things. That's true. So, what did you major in?
I majored in broadcast journalism.
Oh, wow. How was it
Mhm.
like? How was taking all those courses for that?
Yeah, it was good. What I will say, the thing about it is that it was hard. I still remember when I wanted to quit. Luckily, my head coach, Brenda Freeze, she told me not to. She was like, no, like these are the weed out classes. You're not quitting your major. You're going to stick with broadcast journalism. Like you were made for the camera and you were made to be on camera. I can feel it in your personality and whatever
Yeah.
else. Like, okay. I didn't really have a choice. But shout out to Coach Freeze because that was the best decision I could have ever made. And, it's a lot just learning the ins and outs of journalism and
Yeah.
learning there's way more to broadcast journalism than just being on air.
Yeah.
And luckily with my degree and with my friend's degree, a lot of them didn't get into broadcast journalism, but
Hmm.
because they had that type of degree and because Philip Merrill College of Journalism is very prestigious at Maryland, they were able to get other opportunities. So
Yeah.
it was awesome. And I think now they've definitely changed the curriculum because I think, if you think about it, I would say people that are influencers, that's a lot like broadcast journalism,
Yeah, it really is.
right? So if you want to be an influencer, um, I would suggest, and if you still plan on going to college, is taking broadcast journalism because that'll only help your skills and
Yeah.
also it'll help you feel and people will look at you like you're more credible. Not saying that
Yeah.
influencers aren't, but they're just
Yeah.
there comes there's an extra layer that comes with having a degree in broadcast journalism and you
Yeah.
learn so much.
Another thing you talk about a lot is kind of the importance for athletes to pick a major that they'll be able to use in the real world. When did you kind of get like that perspective to make sure that you were covered on not only the sports end, but the end of the real world and like real jobs?
Yeah, I think a lot of universities and programs, like I said, athletes, you don't have a ton of time, right? So a lot
Hmm.
of times, and I think they still do this today, but they funnel you into certain majors or programs because they know that that major program is going to be able to work with your schedule and maybe it
Yeah.
isn't as big of a demand as maybe another major. So I always tell athletes, like, remember, at the end of the day, yes, you're providing a service to that program, that school, and that coach. But, at some time, sometimes the clock is going to stop and you just don't know when it will. And so instead of, wasting your time getting this degree that you can't even use, why don't you put your time into a degree that you can actually use so that maybe when your sport doesn't work out, then you can actually fall back on that and get a job.
So another question I have for you as a women's basketball player, was there ever a time, whether it was when you were younger in college, whatever, where you were kind of discouraged about the lack of attention that women's basketball receives?
I don't think I would ever say discouraged. I would say maybe a little bit disheartened and I would also say kind of numb to it in a sense because I think growing up there are a lot of people at your games, right? It's like
Yeah.
families, this, that, and the third, because all your games are on weekends so people can come and go as they please. And then it's really when you get older, and you start either playing most of the time before the boys or after the boys, or on a different day of the boys that you see so many people at a boys game and
Yeah.
you don't really see any at a girls game. Now, there are places and cultures that have a lot of attendance at girls' games, and maybe even more than the guys. Like I know a few colleges that are like that.
Really?
But for the most part, that's not the norm. So
Yeah.
I think as a women's athlete, in a way you expect it. But what I would say is now with this future generation, I think that a lot of them expect people to be at their games,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is
But another thing, women's basketball, it gets so much hate. Like, why do you think that is?
so. I'll say it depends really where you look, right? And I think that for some reason, a lot of people are scared of strong and powerful
Yeah,
women. And that's not just in sports, that's in life, in the workforce, growing up, whatever else, they feel threatened.
definitely.
Don't know why. I think a lot of it has to do with how we are raising our sons and daughters and the type of language we're using when we describe women, when we talk about women, how
Yeah.
we perceive women. I think a lot of that starts in the home and even who you surround yourself with. And lately on Twitter, a lot of talks have been centered around the fact that men understand when things are wrong, but instead of maybe interjecting or stepping in, they don't say anything
Yeah.
implicit, or they might even go along with it and make it worse. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it starts there. Like I said, the one thing I love about this next generation is that they're very inclusive and they're very positive.
Yeah.
And I think you can tell that, like, even on an app like TikTok, right? You look on TikTok, a lot of times all those comments are so positive, and that's something that I've never seen before. You don't see that on Instagram. You don't really see, you definitely don't see it on Twitter.
Twitter, no.
Twitter, people are just ready to attack you, like,
Yeah.
say something, which is why, Twitter, love you, but so to answer your question, I think it's that, people feel threatened, and it's like just accustomed to what some people have been doing. Because a lot of time it's men, and it's not the
Yeah.
ones that are accomplished. Because you see all the
Yeah,
NBA,
exactly. Yeah.
so much respect for these top tier WNBA athletes because
Yeah.
they know that they're really good. So I think for a lot of these people, it's just, they've never been to a game. They've never watched or gone against an elite women's athlete.
Yeah.
So it's just different for them. Like I said, I circle that back to how we're raising boys
Yeah,
and
definitely.
men, and really nipping that in the bud when they're younger.
Yeah. So with all of that being said, you go out of your way to always make sure to showcase women. So why is it so important for you to uplift women's sports?
Yeah, just because for me, I think sports is what helped me. Sports and my mom is what has really helped me be very strong and confident within who I am. And I think the one thing that is so important to have is just role models
Yeah.
and to see people that look like you. I just think that is so important to have on so many levels. Whether it's growing up or seeing successful Black people, and that doesn't just have to be in sports, right? That can
Yeah.
be in life, and what that does to someone who is Black, or what that does to a person of color. And it's like, when I think about it, I'm just doing it because this is what I want, a better world for my future daughter. And just being able, I'm so big on just women being treated like men, right? Us
Yeah.
actually being equal.
Equal. Yeah.
Whatever I can do and play my part in that fight, because that's my passion, is I want to uplift women,
Yeah.
especially I want to uplift young Black women.
Yeah.
And I'm just really all about equality for women.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's sad. It's sad. And I think I always share this story. So when we had our event called The Takeover,
Invite me to the next one.
yeah, no, I
Invite
definitely
me.
will, girl. I definitely will. Don't worry. When we had our event, we had obviously Converse sponsored the event, but
Yeah.
I just remember the girls. It was so fun. It's something that I still can't put into words just how I
Yeah.
was, and it's a moment that I'll remember for life. But the one thing that I'll never forget, and no matter what I do, this is how I know that this is my purpose, because a bunch of the girls actually said to me, it was the first time where we felt like we were treated like the boys, right? And
Yeah.
mind you, these are 15-year-olds, right? So
Yeah.
they already know that men and women don't get equal treatment at that
Yeah.
young age. And it broke my heart, but it also, it gave me hope and it made me happy, because I was like, okay, like we're doing something right. We're
Yeah.
showing that girls aren't just an afterthought. They are the
Exactly.
forefront of this movement.
So what's your favorite thing about working with Overtime?
Uh, I probably have to say the people.
The
You,
people.
you meet some really good people, and the cool thing about Overtime is, like, it's not your normal 9 to 5 job, right? It's a lot of hours, but the cool part about it is Overtime pays me to be myself, right? And not a lot of jobs or people do that. And a
Yeah.
lot of times when you get into the workforce, people feel like they can't be themselves.
Yeah.
And so I'm super grateful to be at a company that's so young, believes in me and actually listens to me. Also, I get to wear sweats every day to work, so I don't think you could beat that.
Yeah. So what does your everyday of work look like? Like what does that look like?
Woo, girl. My everyday of work. I don't really think I ever stop working. So if that tells you anything, but I'm also a workaholic. But it's hard
Yeah.
because, I still manage a social media account. So, everything's about timeliness, right? The moment I see a clip and I think it's going to go viral, being able to
Yeah.
post that or having it ready for the next day. And on top of that, just hosting different shows with Snapchat, on YouTube, on Instagram.
Yeah.
So my day is pretty busy. I try to not start anytime before 10:30, and then I don't go to sleep probably till like 2, 3 a.m.
Wow.
I'm trying to get better with that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of work. But when you're passionate about what you do, you're willing to put in the time and work. And I also think
Yeah.
how to do that whole work-life balance thing.
Yeah. So I have kind of a fun question. This NBA draft has been so long awaited and obviously postponed for obvious reasons. So who's going number one?
Ooh, who's going number one, or who
Yeah.
who do I want to go number one?
Both, both. Who's going number one and who would you pick?
I would say Anthony Edwards. I mean, that's who I like think.
Yeah.
That's who I like think want. It's I don't know. It's hard for me because I love him. But honestly, I will say James Wiseman. I don't know. He's just being able to watch him grow from high school to now. I just think the strides he's made, and I just think right away he can make an immediate impact in the NBA.
Yeah.
If you ask Overtime, they'll say the number one pick would be LaMelo Ball. I don't know if LaMelo Ball will be number one,
Yeah.
but I think LaMelo Ball is going to have a great career
Yeah,
in
definitely.
the NBA.
On a more serious note, for you on your Instagram or just social media platforms, you're very vocal about what's going on in our world and about racial issues. So, was there ever a time where you were afraid to kind of speak out and be vocal about racial issues?
I don't ever think I've been afraid to speak out. I think when I was younger, I just didn't really fully understand or could grasp the
Yeah.
concepts. Um, the only time when I don't immediately speak out, or if I wait, is because for me, I like to listen before I speak, and I also
Yeah,
like to be aware of what I'm saying. Right? I never want to be in
definitely.
a situation where um, I sound or I seem uninformed, uh,
Yeah.
or that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to a particular topic. But for me, that's something that I can always speak personally to, that I've experienced, that I've witnessed, that I've talked about, heard about, read about, watched,
Yeah.
all of those things. And so I think it's really important when a young person finally comes into their skin, just being able to speak their truths, because it's always more powerful when it comes from the individual themselves.
Yeah. So for you, if before we end this, if the whole world was watching right now, what would you want to say about the condition our country's in and what we can do to really make a change and keep the momentum of this movement going?
I would say that don't be quick to go back to normal,
Yeah,
or what you think is normal, because to me, what we're doing, this is the new normal, right? Talking about it, having conversations, actually showing up to vote, reading about it, and all of these different resources and tools that are out here on Google. So I would say don't go back to normal, because this is the normal. And if you see or if you feel people going back to normal, push their focus in the direction that you think it should be going to. So because I think obviously this Black Lives Matter movement affects all of us.
yeah,
Doesn't matter if you're white, black, or however you identify. It affects every single person in this country, but
definitely.
particularly, really, this is something that Black people experience every single day.
Every day, yeah.
Every day, as soon as we're born. So I'm glad that people have finally woken up, I guess, and I hope that everyone will keep this momentum going.
Yeah,
I hope it
definitely.
doesn't stop. So this is the new normal.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap that up right here. Thank you so much for your conversation. I enjoyed your angle on everything I asked you today, so thank you so much. We
Thanks for
go.
having me, Joy.
You're welcome. Before we go, make sure to shout out your social media so fans can connect with you on there.
Yes. Follow me on Instagram at Overtime Chloe. Follow me on TikTok at Overtime Chloe. I don't really get on Twitter like that, but also subscribe to my show on Snapchat called Hype School.
All right. Thank you so much, and God bless. Bye.